out though.
Right.
So,
but if too many of us did what I did in New York City, New York would have been red.
Okay, so do you feel like you can complain about Donald Trump then?
Because
you gave him a de facto
he alone cannot make or break my life. I answer to one person. He alone can't make the change. What scares me more than Trump is the fact that the Senate and the House is Republican.
Okay, so I know he alone can't, but he alone can make everybody's life miserable. With you, especially being from New York City, and then some of the laws that they've deemed to be unconstitutional, like the stop and frisk, right, which affected minorities, black and brown people. Jeff Sessions will probably end up getting confirmed, I'm sure. They want to put that back in place, and that's in your city. Like, do you know anybody personally that's been stopped?
No, not personally, but I have NYPD family, and I know that you can't go that far back with the people that I helped get into office. I don't think that would actually be reinstated. It would be a nightmare. I think the city has learned from that, and I don't think he can talk a good talk. Will it actually be? Would it actually be a poll?
But you still gave him a de facto vote, though.
If that makes you feel better.
I agree with that. If over 50% of white women voted for Trump, over 60% of white men voted for Trump, and actually over 35% collectively of those who identify as Hispanic men and women voted for Trump, they were the ones that voted for Trump. So it's not a de facto vote, especially considering the fact that Hillary won the popular vote. We, the people, got screwed. So I'm not of the notion to blame other people who either chose not to vote because it was a crapshoot, because you had racists and diet racists.
Boom.
Whoa, okay.
Hashtag that creep.
I'm not about to do that with other voters. Like, if we chose to vote for where we chose to vote for based on morals and political beliefs and stuff like that, then we have to respect that.
But see, I guess my whole thing, for one, in some places she lost like 50,000 votes, 10,000 votes that have made a difference. And then two, no matter how you cut it, it's the lesser of two evils. I don't care what you say. It's either option A or B, and you have to be able to live with one.
Lesser of two evils ever since we've been in this country.
But it is what it is.
So then how do we change it in terms of the electoral college? How do we change this?
The electoral college need to be gone.
That needs to be gone, in my opinion.
Okay.
But I'm still saying is that if you have two options, because Jill Stein played a spoiler role in the other, Gary Johnson was his name.
Gary Johnson,
those fools played spoiler roles, and that made a difference. Because in some of those cases,
depending on the state,
but some of the states that she needed,
that, like
Florida, I think it was like Michigan, Wisconsin, like all of those states that she needed that was supposed to be in the bag for her. Well, she didn't do a good enough job anyway. She was a terrible candidate.
And that's the reason.
She was a terrible candidate.
She was awful.
But she was
still a Democratic National Convention if we really want to go somewhere.
But here's the thing, though. It's like with Hillary, I was like, all right, another 4 years, life will probably be about the same, no big changes. But with Donald Trump actually scares me. That's the difference.
I agree. No.
Like, he scares me.
It's also that base that he's incited and has roused up for all these.
I was about to say
crazy closet people have come out, and now they're being overt with their racism.
Agreed.
I mean, it's not like it was even better when they were being covert, but at least it's in everybody's face. It's out in
Do y'all see it on campus?
Color.
People are still real covert about the BS that they're going to get.
We should have did this at Clemson.
But here's the thing, though. Nowadays, though, you can't really be that overt unless you really, because we giving out ass whoopings.
Oh, and getting people fired from jobs. You know the people are getting fired from jobs on Facebook?
Real quick.
No, I'm saying I emailed the city quick. And
we'll get you fired quick.
They get fired, and where do they go? See, because that slick bothers me, right?
Okay.
Because it's they racist. Point blank period. They put it out there. They get fired. Does that make them not racist?
Look here.
No.
Look,
it's not racist at that job.
Getting fired and having to go on Monster.com for a week versus nothing, I'll take it. You know what I'm saying?
But not even just that. I mean, in some cases, you get fired and you get rehired. I mean, the chick that was talking about Michelle Obama, she got fired and turned around and got hired right after the election.
Just like those people, those EMS workers. You know what I'm saying? Like, who were talking about we should run those people over that were protesting. So what I did was that here.
No, that was
here.
That was the one. Oh yeah.
So me and my homegirl Tanae, shout out to Tanae, we gonna have her on the show. Yeah, we sent emails to the city and everything and got them fired in 24 hours. Well, I mean, they EMS workers, so I mean that skill set really don't translate too far when you in like you got a house in the city and you working as an EMS worker. And even if they did find another job, as a district manager at Target, I mean, you ain't doing your regular job. I mean,
you're not doing what you love.
That teaches their spectators a lesson. I mean, at least, you know what I'm saying? But my thing is this. Y'all, I put this post on Facebook about black people's expectations of white folks. You know what I'm saying? It's like being mad at a dog for barking or being mad at water for being wet. You're not going to change the nature of folks. You know what I'm saying? We in a system. Yeah, we in a system that's been passed down from generation to generation that's set for us not to succeed if we spend a lot of time worrying about that system. Instead, we should focus our energy on how to thrive in that system. You know what I'm saying? Like not having your kids so woke that they fail in tests because you're like, Columbus ain't do this. Nah, F that. You you tell your kids okay, to get these A's, you learn this. But this is what the real is when you come home.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? Then you get those kids into positions of power. You get those kids in grad school. You get them in, like my wife is a lawyer. You see what I'm saying? Like PhDs. You see what I'm saying? Get them in,
Out of curiosity, what generation from your family have graduate degrees?
I'm first gen.
I'm first.
First. Second.
How many have college degrees in general?
I'm first.
Yeah,
I'm first gen.
But think about, you said third, and we're like, that's a good thing. But we talking about like 15, 20 lineage. For them, like lineage,
actual lineage. So you can say they have a lineage.
So for how far we've started behind, we're just now getting to where we're starting to catch up a little bit, and we've still got a long ways to go. But it's just like we're sitting at a table of first. I was the first to graduate from the 4 years school in my family. Obviously, did a graduate degree as well. And you have third generation. That's a lot.
That's deep.
When you're talking about like, my grandfather went to such and such school in 1906. Like we don't have that yet. So we're just now getting to that. Like when you guys have kids and they have kids, and that's why we're so far behind because they had like, 2 laps on it. No, not even 2 laps. Like a whole state.
Yeah. And then
a whole state, like California.
And just like,
but can we keep it though? Because I think that's where the issue arises when we teach them how to cheat the system or how to work within it. How do we actually make change when they have to literally fit into the system and then you were telling them something different at home?
You infiltrate the system with a whole mindset to when you get into that position of power that you do what you got to do. Just like, your next congressman.
We're counting on our kids. Where are we?
No, I mean, but it's a time thing. Like, because once, like, okay, so if I have somebody's parent here, right here, talking about this, and they, like, been working customer service for Verizon for the last 20 years, unfortunately, they not in that position yet. You see what I'm saying? And just like we just said, 1 generation deep, 3 generations, which is a whole bunch, that's what we're trying to say. Like, we just haven't had those roots yet, like, to be in those positions.
But kids today are receiving less education than we did. So I'm first generation, and the way the system is set up, my kids might not make it to college the way the system is set up.
You mean in terms of price or just the system?
In terms of price, in terms of the system.
In terms of what they're actually giving them?
The education. I mean, you know how much money we spend on education? And we rank, 27th among nations? Like, actual nations? We are 27.
We're ranked.
Oh, but you know what we're number 1 in? Putting them away.
Yeah. But as the people at this table, do you feel, so back to the generational thing, the people at this table, do you feel that because of your experiences in your postgraduate work and graduate work, that you are equipped to navigate your kids through a similar path and have them be successful? Do you think, no, yes or no question, do you think you can do that with your children?
I come from a different perspective.
No, I'm talking about
I come from a different perspective.
I'm talking about yours.
Let me tell you something. I am a citizen by paper. I was not born in this country. My kids automatically have an advantage because they will be born in this country.
Okay.
So if you're talking on that basic level, my kids are 1 leg in compared to me.
Oh, you were born on the island.
I was born in the Dominican Republic. I became a naturalized citizen after 9/11.
But I think that's what Ham's saying is like, look at the time.
Look at the time.
Your kids inherently are going to do better because you were placed in a situation.
Because you right here.
Right.
Not if we don't fix our educational system.
No. You still worry about this educational system.
Because without books, we can't make no change in the ballots. We sure as hell can't make no change with our books.
I'm talking about your children. Will you do you think you will financially be in a situation where your kids will have books because of this? Because of your job, because of your knowledge, you know where to send your kids or what to tell them to learn?
I see where you're coming from, but I see her point more on the strength of like without books, but also without correct books. And teaching the kids even the basics that we grew up on. I'm going to give you an example.
Common Core.
Ronnie that's a whole different subject for a whole other time. Whole different subject for another time. I'm going to bring up a story. Ronnie Dean Byrne, good friend of mine, she was the young woman who blew the whistle on that Texas textbook manufacturer, McGraw-Hill.
Oh,
who tried to say,
right,
I remember.
Yeah.
They recently tried to publish a book where they tried to say that slaves, black slaves in America, were workers.
Wow,
were mere workers.
I ain't get that edition.
These are textbooks that Osbelkis is referring to that are trying to educate her high school son.
Mm-hmm.
So although I see your point in terms of time and the things that we've evolved in us being a millennial generation versus Generation X versus the baby boomers and stuff like that, but it's like if we don't have the materials to handle what we need to handle,
because shit today has to make us feel good. If it doesn't sing kumbaya, it's not being put out there.
If your son or daughter thinks that slaves were workers instead of slaves, can they not be an engineer?
But that's still not telling the whole truth.
I understand. You see, but you trying to be so woke about, like, you can still worry about changing the system, but you have to have your kid navigate, because if they're not matriculating, like
So the large question is how to navigate whiteness, but then whiteness was right there. White supremacy was right there in that textbook, basically trying to erase our history.
So should the flow of knowledge stop at a school or at home? Because I'm going to have conversations with my child. You see what I'm saying? So they'll be
that becomes the parents' responsibility.
So because when I go out and I see BS as an adult that I'm not familiar with, I'm like, no, this doesn't sit right. Let me ask somebody, because I have a foundation where I'm able to decipher and discern information. And if my daughter's like, my dad woke as hell, this don't seem right. Hey, daddy, like, you know, we read this today and we talked about. I'm like, absolutely not. Let's watch the History Channel. Let's do this. Let's do that. Blah blah blah. It's a continuation. It's not like they learn and they come home and then you just feed them and they go to sleep. You have to be proactive. That's where parenting is an action, not just like keep.
We are the outliers.
Hey, I'm not with that defeated shit. Like I'm on it. Like
the system so we need to change the system to make more of us.
But that's what Osbelkis is getting.
So how do we make more of us?
Boom. Answer that question and we've solved it all.
But how do we make more of us? It's our kids. It's only a matter of time. Yep. We literally make more of us.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to say.
But right now, we need to look laterally. Because we need to help the hearts of the people who are going to be in office soon, who are going to be in those positions of power soon. And waiting for the next generation. They've been waiting since MLK. And at least back then, there was a law in your face that said the wrong shit you wanted to change. Now it's subtle stuff.
Yeah, mm-hmm. True.
But I don't think people are saying don't. I don't think you.
Yes, we're not saying
fighting the fight and navigating the current landscape of the fight aren't mutually exclusive. You can do both at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But we cannot depend on our kids alone.
You don't have to separate the two. It's not like you have to either do it this way or be an activist or do this. You can do all of them within the same at the same time. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to separate the two. I think what Haven's saying is that you navigate the current landscape in order for your children to be successful
simultaneously.
But
get the A.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, though. But because here's the thing too. So because we're going through it, right? So when our parents and our parents' parents were saying, "I want you to have a better life. I want you to go to school," even though I couldn't, it still was in a lot of instances they still couldn't do it because just the resources. Right. We're just at the point where we're now able to say, now we know what we know, so we can teach our kids like. You have to go to school because this is truly the education is the only way that you can advance. Period. Mm-hmm. Point blank. Period. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, because you're gonna hit it unless you start your own business and you become, independent, wealthy.
And
out
that
there.
counts as education as well too.
Exactly. So, yeah. But for the 98% of everybody else, the only way that you can win is with education, and you see it in India, like firsthand. That's why they're so competitive because the only way they can get out is through education, and everything is competitive. But we're just now getting to the point where we're educated, so we can say, I don't hope for you to go to school because I didn't get a chance to and I had to work. That's the expectation. So you start having different expectations versus like a hope. Yeah, now it's a standard.
Yeah, because my granddad. Okay, go ahead.
And I think too, to what Lance is saying is that for our parents, And every time you do it, for our parents to try to, they had to pick and choose what they were, how they could keep the wheel moving.